Welcome to Pegwarmers. I'm Kevin, and I'm here to talk about toys. Today's episode, we're talking about Wave 5 of the G.I. Joe Super 7 Ultimates figures from Super 7. We've been waiting for Wave 5 to come in for quite some time. Wave 6 was the female sort of repaint wave with Scarlet Baroness and Lady J from the Deke series that did not meet its minimum orders, and I don't believe they've announced anything further from Ultimates. So, waiting to hear about this line. I've enjoyed this line so far. It's expensive, so it's hard to collect long term, and they're definitely getting through a lot of the main characters. I do think that there are some options out there, though, for things they could do that would still be popular. Certain looks for characters, or, you know, some characters they just haven't gotten to yet. I've put out my plea for a Ultimates Beachhead before. I think Wave 2 or Version 2 Snake Eyes would be popular. I think the Cobra Viper would be popular. So, you know, we'll see where this line goes. But this wave, we've got Crimson Guard, Major Bludd, Roadblock, and Covergirl. She gets a lot of love from Super 7. Somebody there is really a big fan. Plus, if you bought the whole wave from Super 7, you got the Super Pack, some additional accessories for your figures. We might as well start with Covergirl. If you didn't see it, I just recently put out an episode about Super 7's Reaction Plus O-Ring G.I. Joe figures that included a green outfitted Covergirl with her long blonde hair from the cartoon. So it's kind of funny that we've got multiple Super 7 Covergirls getting in my mailbox in similar time frame. So this wave comes in the classic Super 7 funny-shaped boxes, but no slip covers. They've dropped that, and they just put them in a little plastic bag to help protect this package now. It's fine by me, because I don't know what to do with the slip covers. Even if I was an in-box collector, I wouldn't know what to do with the slip covers. But I'm sure that's bothered some people. Got Covergirl out of the package here. She looks pretty fantastic. I feel like she looks a lot like her vintage action figure. And without going and finding a screenshot from the show, I don't know how accurate this is to the cartoon versus the show, but a lot of these guys do a pretty good job of looking like they're animated cells, but walk the line a little bit, especially with accessories, towards their version 1 action figure. So she's got a tampo on her shoulder on the jacket there. She's got her little calculator on her side pouch. The straps are not painted on her, just like the vintage figure. She's got some nice details on her boots there. I think she looks pretty good. Her face is fairly attractive there, which Covergirl's a model she should be. She's got that nice short bob haircut there with the brown hair. She also came with long brown hair. I wonder if they tooled this up for a future blonde green outfit release, and they just didn't want to put a blonde head in with this one because it might make people skip the green outfit. But you know Super 7's always working ahead on that kind of stuff. She looks pretty good either way. I like both of those heads, but obviously the bob is the vintage figure. And many of these characters also come with a third head, and they seem to be doing a lot of these guys with like headsets because a lot of the Joes wore headsets in the Sky Strikers. It's a head I've often said I have no use for. I don't know why they keep doing it. This time around, Covergirl's headset head is wearing a helmet, and she's a tank commander, so it makes sense, and I actually really approve of this one. This is a good head for her. If you wanted to put her in the Wolverine shooting the missiles, it would be nice to have a helmet. Granted, we're probably never going to get a Wolverine in this scale. I'm not even sure if she could sit in it. But I do also want to check out the articulation on her. I've looked at these figures before many times. They have ball joints at the heads. Their shoulders have ratchet joints move out to the side. They can spin around. They have bicep twists. They have hinge joints at the elbows, which can also rotate. They have hinge joints and rotations at the wrists. There is a rocker in her upper torso. She has a swivel articulation at the waist. Her legs can move forward at the hips. Her legs can also move out to the sides to kind of give her the riding a horse pose. So you can kick out to the side a little bit. I think I mentioned before on some of the ninjas that I felt like that was a little bit limited. You couldn't do a real high kick. I'm also fairly gentle with these kind of figures. So you might have more mileage, but you might also be a little bit more willing to kind of yank and pull on your figures. She has a hinge at the knee, and she has a twist at the boot, and then there's a rocker joint at her ankle. that can pivot forward and back a little bit, as well as to the side. So, again, these figures are pretty well articulated. They're pretty much what you'd expect for a, collector toy line. I am actually having a little trouble getting her legs to go back together now that I did the wide spread. Now her legs want to stay splayed out a little bit, which is annoying. I'm sure I can get it back into position. I just got to play with it a little bit. I'm just, being kind of careful. I never want to break something like this. Additional accessories for Covergirl. She comes with a Wolverine missile, in case you lost one. She's got a shovel and a sledgehammer. These also are pretty good tools for a tank commander. Make me think of Toll Booth a little bit. She comes with the Snow Job classic cartoon rifle, which her O-ring figure came with, and I mentioned that I keep one of these from the weapon packs packed with my vintage Covergirl. She's got a couple sets of hands. She comes with fists already on, and then she has some trigger shooting hands and some regular accessory holding hands. She's got a small walkie-talkie and this funky-looking accessory that kind of looks like a speed meter, and it's definitely either oddly sculpted or mine came defective. It's got like a warp to it, like a smushed front. Next up, let's take a look at Major Bludd. Packed all of Major Bludd's accessories on one tray. He doesn't have a lower level. Alright, we got Major Bludd here. I have always been a fan of his cartoon colors. The vintage figure is brown jumpsuit with lots of black on him, black helmet, black armor. There's something about the blue helmet and the blue collar with then the gray armor over the jumpsuit. Just something about it I just think jumps out more. I think it's more interesting. I think it's easier to tell that his arm is got armor or something robotic going on with it. He does not have the weird fingers, though, that the vintage figure had. He's got a nice big holster here, and overall, just a great-looking figure. Major Bludd's a cool character that really doesn't get used enough, in my opinion. He's not really an A-lister Cobra character often, but I'm a big fan. So he comes with a pretty large-looking blaster. It doesn't really quite have the rocket tip on it like his original gun had. It doesn't scream vintage figure for me the way some of the accessories do. It does fit in his holster nicely on the side there. He also comes with another pistol, this one looking a little bit more like the Zartan pistol. Let's see if this one fits in the holster. That one does fit, but it's very tiny for the size of the pistol holster. So I definitely think the holster was more designed for the larger one, but this gives you a second option for him. Right now I have both of his closed fists on. Let's check out his hands. So he comes with a set of hands that are perfect for taking a bite out of a cheeseburger or holding up binoculars. He also comes with a set of accessory holding, like trigger finger hands. So I'm going to swap one of those on here so I can have him hold a pistol. There we go. Major Bludd's looking good. I like the detailing on his mechanical arm. There's like a little rubberized texture on the elbow joint, which I think looks good. Makes me wonder, do you think he's wearing a Cobra uniform underneath the jumpsuit? He's got that blue collar sticking out, and his helmet looks like he borrowed it from Cobra Commander. That might be the one good thing about the black helmet for him, is that it doesn't look like he's wearing Cobra Commander's helmet minus the face shield. He's got that classic eye patch and the mustache there. He does come with two other heads, which is common with this. The one is sort of a yelling head, and the other one is supposed to be laughing, I assume, because the mouth is open but the eye is closed. Ha 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 ha. Major Bludd comes with a bomb accessory, and, bad guys never had enough bombs in the 80s. He's got a set of binoculars, a small radio, probably for calling Cobra Commander, or for detonating his bomb, and he also comes with a really weird-looking controller? I thought maybe it was binoculars at first. It's got the hazard stripes on it. It says A4. So maybe this is a detonator for the bomb. Probably in an episode of the cartoon show that I just don't remember. But overall, I think he's a great-looking figure. Some decent accessories. There's nothing that I felt like he really needed. I wouldn't have been surprised if they had given him the backpack with the rockets and the gun with the rocket that fits into it, like his vintage figure. They were doing a lot of vintage action figure accessory loadouts with the cartoon characters when this line started, but so far, maybe we're seeing less of that. It's hard to tell, because I opened Covergirl, who doesn't have vintage accessories and Major Bludd here. We'll see maybe with Roadblock and the Crimson Guard how vintage their loadouts are, as well as cartoon accessories. Next up, we're taking a look at the Crimson Guard. Back to the 2 trays. We've got the Crimson Guard out of the package. He looks pretty good. This is one of those little minor inconsistencies between the cartoon show and the action figures, where you can see like the flesh-colored neck below his helmet, whereas on the vintage toy, the neck was all red. They didn't bother to paint something like that. And it's one of those little details that makes this feel more like a removable helmet than the vintage figure, where it almost seems more like a robot with a head kind of thing. I like that kind of attention to detail there, and I totally understand why they didn't bother painting those kind of things in on the vintage figures. He's got his little epaulets and the ropes here. He's got black gloves. He's got double belts, one kind of hanging at an angle on his hip there over the regular belt. He does have a little loop on his leg, and he's got the pinstriping. He doesn't come with a little shotgun to put there. He has like a miniature sculpted on shotgun on the vintage figure, but he does come with a little blaster here. I don't know if this can hold it or not. The blaster is kind of like a Zartan looking blaster. It has like a sight on it though. I don't think that's going to fit in there, interestingly enough. Did he come with a knife? I didn't notice a knife in the package. I'm not sure about that little loop. He's got tall black boots, and overall looks like a nice looking figure. He comes with the standard Crimson Guard backpack. Again, I'm not sure if they wore these a lot in the cartoon, but the original toy definitely had a backpack. It is interesting how, with this line, the backpacks are actually strapped on and not pegged on. That's kind of a fun detail. Let's see if I can put it on him here. It's always a little bit tricky putting the backpacks on, because you got to figure out how to pose the arm in the way that it stretches out the smallest. There's just enough slack on those straps there that it holds the backpack on the figure adequately, but you can get the arms through there. So there he is with the backpack. The straps cover up the little epaulets and the rope a little bit, which is a little disappointing because that's a nice look on him. And then he comes with a rifle here with the bayonet that is a cartoon version of his rifle from the version 1 figure. So he does a pretty good job of capturing that look while also being cartoon accurate, which is fun. He comes straight out of the package with fists, but he does also come with 3 other hands, which are going to allow him to hold accessories and weapons and things like that. So I'm looking for a weapon holding hand here so I can have him carry his rifle. There we go. Now we're doing business. He comes with 2 additional heads, which is very common with this line. One is a generic looking head with a mask over his face. I don't know if this is cartoon specific or not, but oftentimes we do see Cobras hiding their identity even when their helmets are off. He also comes with a head wearing glasses, and oddly enough, this looks a lot like Duke wearing glasses. I don't know if that's an episode specific thing, or if there is a Crimson Guard who takes his helmet off and has glasses on underneath. Based on the wackiness of the cartoon, I'm guessing that there's an episode where Duke is undercover with glasses, but also wearing a Crimson Guard suit. I could be wrong. I actually thought this head looked a little bit like Buzzer in the digital renders. Holding it in my hand now, it definitely looks like Duke in glasses. He comes with 2 little test tube holders. One came pretty horribly bent here, but those are fun little accessories for like a laboratory. You can have them sitting on the counter. They're probably episode specific. He also comes with a half-eaten donut and a cup of coffee. Again, the guy with the mask on or the guy with the helmet on can't really be partaking. So does Duke drink those, or a blonde Crimson Guard? He also has this strange blobby mass. Again, probably an episode specific episode. Is this like, are these crystals or something? I don't know. Or maybe this is like weird fire that comes from the chemicals getting spilled. I haven't watched the cartoon show recently enough to have all the episode specific accessories memorized. But this is a nice variety of things. This is actually a little squishy, which is odd. Again, this figure probably didn't need alternative heads, really. I think maybe a miniature shotgun that could fit on his side would have been a nice additional accessory instead of the extra heads or instead of some of the other stuff. I do think some of these little accessories like the donuts and the coffee are funny for collectors, but I don't really think people use them in reality. You know, half a dozen people take a photo with them for their toy vlog. Half a dozen people pose them that way on their shelf because they like to have the weirdest display possible. And everybody else just puts it in a Ziploc bag and forgets they own it. Last but not least, we've got Roadblock. This is based on his early cartoon appearances in his version 1 uniform. 2 trays for Roadblock. So my first thought with Roadblock straight out of the package is I don't think this head sculpt captures his look in the cartoon very well. He's a bald man with a mustache, but there's just something about it that seems off. It's fine, and I almost feel like it's more cartoon or maybe more action figure, although I don't think it looks like the action figure that much either. Just sort of a different look to him. Nothing I can really put my finger on, but maybe the transition from 2D to 3D just doesn't work as perfectly on Roadblock. Checking out some of his other faces, he's got a gritting teeth head and a more jovial head. Yeah, there's like almost too much detail to them to look like the cartoon version, oddly enough. He has straps with grenades on them. Were the grenades on him in the cartoon? Maybe. That seems like too much detail. Also, he's got a pistol holster, he's got a knife sheath, he's got bright orange pants, which are kind of funny, but he does have orange pants. He comes with closed fists straight out of the package, but he has several other hands included with him, some of which are good for holding accessories, like weapons. Some are good for holding larger accessories like binoculars, and one more traditional gripping like C-shaped hand. He's got a small black pistol that can fit in the holster on his leg here, I assume. He's got a very skinny knife. It's a very small blade. That fits in a little tiny sheath on his other leg. That's kind of like what I was expecting to find with the Crimson Guard, a little skinny knife to fit in that loophole on his side. To go with the cartoon, he's got the Snow Job blaster, but to give him a more vintage version 1 look, he comes with the green machine gun with the tripod that can peg together there. He also comes with an ammo belt, which is pretty cool, and not something that would have been with the vintage figure, but is nice for a line like this for Ultimates to give him some extra detail. I like that a lot. He comes with a helmet, because again, that's his version 1 figure look. That helmet looks kind of bulbous on him. I think a couple other guys came with helmets, like Duke did. I don't remember it looking quite as large on Duke, but it's not terrible. And then he's got his backpack, that little orange backpack with the removable ammo tray here. Like, they built in that feature as well, it looks like. It definitely seems like a separate piece, but it doesn't really want to wiggle loose. So, I can't seem to get that little tray off, but he does have straps, so you can put it on his back, and it looks like there's a peg here, so you could throw the tripod on the backpack, just like the vintage action figure. Yep, so he can carry all his gear that way, which is pretty cool. So overall, I think Major Bludd might be my favorite character from this wave. He's a B-list, maybe C-list Cobra character. You know, he's not Serpentor and Destro and Cobra Commander. He's not Storm Shadow. He's not the Baroness. But he's a fun character. Mercenaries can't be trusted. He's got some cool accessories. He's got a great look to him. So he's one of my favorites. I also think the Crimson Guard is a great figure. He's Cobra's elite trooper. I did not army build him, though. The only one I army build from this whole line was I did buy 2 Cobra Troopers. But to me, the cartoon, which is the aesthetic of these guys, screams Cobra Troopers. When I was a kid, I was playing with a lot of the 86 stuff, so I had Vipers and Bats. But I really wanted the blue shirt Cobra Troopers because they were the main troopers in the cartoon show for the most part. Those are the guys I identify with, so that's why I only grabbed one of the Crimson Guards. Plus, these guys are just kind of expensive. Roadblock is an A-lister in the G.I. Joe world. He's always included in the top-tier characters. After we get Snake Eyes, Duke, and Scarlet, Roadblock is often in that top tier. Covergirl, good-looking figure, fun character. She's a vehicle driver, so she's one that kind of always ended up being a background character in the cartoon, so she's a little bit easier to pass, I think, in some ways. And Roadblock, I wouldn't fault you if you were waiting for a version 2 version, so you could, have him with his look from the later season and the G.I. Joe movie. But, he's a classic character. Hard to rank these guys, but they're all pretty cool looking. I like the camo work on Roadblock a lot. They did a great job with the Stalker in this line. And I kind of want to get these guys all on a shelf together finally sometime soon and take a look at them. It'll be interesting to see what Super 7 does next. You know, that all-female repaint-ish wave crashed and burned. Will they do more of these? Are they just going to put their energy into the O-ring figures? I kind of wouldn't mind if they just focus on the O-ring, even though I think these figures are really well done. This isn't really where I want to be collecting. When it comes to G.I. Joe, I want O-ring figures. You know, this was sort of like a classified isn't exactly what I want. These guys aren't exactly what I want. Even the retro carded figures from Classified that look like the vintage figures, again, they have the aesthetic I want, but they're still like at the bigger scale. It's hard to know what's perfect for G.I. Joe collectors, and we all collect so many different things and have different favorite scales and stuff. So it is nice that they're offering lots of different things to us these days between Super 7 and Hasbro. And let me know in the comments down below if you liked any of these more or less than any of the other ones. Are you collecting this line? Or are you completely avoiding it? If we got a wave with version 2 Snake Eyes, the Cobra Viper, Beachhead, and I'll leave a wild card slot there for somebody, probably a repaint or something that they could do cheaply, I might be content with this line, to be honest. Thanks so much for watching this video. Do me a favor, hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. If you want to support the channel further, consider joining us on Patreon. There's bonus content there. We have a really cool group of people on the Discord for the second tier. And, you know, as always, thanks for hanging on the peg with me.